going to start our practice today in child's pose. So sitting on our heels, big toes touching, moving our knees slightly apart, and then just draping our torso over our thighs until the forehead reaches the mat. Dropping the elbows, releasing the shoulders. Opening up our back body and just breathing into this. If you want to remain here for the entire class, I won't tell anyone. Just breathing here, relaxing. And we're going to bring our arms out in front of us, all the way out, stretching, lifting the forehead off of the mat, just really feeling that stretch. And then we're going to shift our shoulders and our hips slightly forward, moving into a cobra pose as we release the hips to the mat, keeping the elbows bent. And then pushing back into our child's pose. We're going to do that a couple more times. So shifting the shoulders and the hips forward, letting the hips rest down on the mat, elbows bent. And then pressing back into our child's pose. Beautiful. Moving the shoulders and the hips forward, releasing the hips down to the mat, elbows bent. And then pressing back into child's pose. We're going to move our hands closer to our body a little bit and move up into tabletop. So shoulders over wrists, hips over knees. Do a little cat-cow flow. Going to drop the belly, lift the hips and chest. And then round the belly and press the spine toward the sky. Drop the belly, lift hips and chest. And then round the belly, pressing up. One more time, dropping the belly, lifting the hips and chest. And then rounding the belly and really press to stretch that spine toward the sky. Coming back into our neutral tabletop, we're going to do a bit of a spinal twist. So lift that right arm up toward the sky, twisting. And then scoop that right arm underneath the belly, sliding along the floor, bend the left elbow and rest the right temple on the mat. If you want to, you can pull that left arm over top and around into that right hip. And just feel that twist here. Place that left hand back down on the mat and put the right hand down. Other side. Lift that left arm up to the sky, look up, and scoop the left arm under the belly along the mat, bending that right elbow and resting that left temple on the floor. Move that right arm over top and into that left hip, and just breathe. And replacing our hands back down on the mat, it's time to warm up our feet and wrists. So tucking those toes underneath and then pressing the hips back toward the heels. This is going to stretch out the bottoms of your feet. And then we're going to shift our shoulders forward beyond our wrists. And this is going to warm up your wrists. We're going to do this a couple more times. So keeping the toes tucked and sinking those hips back toward the heels, stretching the feet, and then shifting the shoulders forward beyond the wrists to stretch those wrists out. Once again, sinking hips back toward heels, stretching the feet, and shifting the shoulders beyond the wrists to stretch out the wrists. Going back to neutral, keeping the toes tucked. You're going to move your hands like one handprint ahead. And then pressing into the feet, lifting the hips into downward facing dog. From here, you can pedal out your feet, bending one knee and then the other to stretch out the backs of the legs. You could choose to shift the hips from side to side. Whatever movements feel good to you in this moment. Breathing. And we're going to walk our feet to our hands, keeping them about hips distance apart. And just fold into this. You can bend your knees as much as you want. It's going to help decompress your spine. I love holding these forward folds for as long as possible. Now we're going to move into another spinal twist. So you're going to take your left hand and place it in front of your right foot. Bend that left knee and reach that right arm toward the sky, looking up. Feeling that gentle twist, stretch in the back of the legs. Other side now, right hand in front of left foot, pop that right knee and lift the left arm to the sky. Breathing into the twist. Then we're going to come down and just return to our forward fold here for just a moment. And then we're going to place our hands on the mat and walk back to our downward facing dog. Just breathing here for a moment. Coming into a low lunge, we're going to bring our right foot right about where our right hand is and drop that left knee. Lifting the arms up to the sky, but we're going to get a little lazy and just kind of let them fall on our head. Now we're going to get into a side body stretch. So we're going to bring our right hand down toward the mat or on a block if you need, and supporting the head with your left arm. We're just going to stretch into that left side body. Elbow to the sky. Breathing into that stretch. Now we're going to bring our left hand back down to the mat and open up our hip a little bit. So press open your right knee just slightly, bringing that bottom of the foot off of the mat a little bit. If this is too much, just stay in low lunge and breathe. Bring the right hand back down to the mat. We're just going to scoot back into child's pose. Breathing here. And we're going to tuck the toes and lift the hips back into our downward facing dog and do that low lunge on the left side. So we're going to bring our left foot, kind of replace that left hand, dropping the right knee, lifting arms to sky, but again we're being lazy, so we're just going to drop those arms on top of our head. Breathe. Side body stretch. We're going to put that left hand down on the mat, support the head with the right hand, and stretch that right side body. Just breathing here. Let's open up that left hip. So right hand down on the mat, left hand just presses that knee open, bottom of the foot pops up a bit. Breathing here, going to your comfort level. And coming back to child's pose, just sinking those hips and breathing, relaxing after that hip stretch. And tucking the toes, lifting the hips back into our downward facing dog. We're going to do a little bit more hip stretches here. So we're going to walk our feet back to our hands again, but this time we're going to keep the feet almost to the edge of the mat, into this kind of wide-legged forward fold. Now from here we're coming into a halfway lift. We're going to turn our toes out, drop the hips, and come into a squat. Prayer hands to chest. Use those elbows to press the knees out slightly. And returning to our forward fold, bringing in the toes, folding. We're going to do that a couple more times. So lifting into a halfway lift, toes out, hips down, hands to heart. Breathing here. And returning to our forward fold, fingertips to mat, toes in, dropping the head, relax, and breathe. And one more time. Halfway lift, toes out, drop the hips, hands to heart, elbows pressing slightly. And bringing fingertips to the mat, toes in, folding once again. And now we're going to come to a halfway lift. Heel toe your feet together. Take your first 2 fingers on each hand, wrap them around each big toe, lifting and then folding, pulling on those toes a little bit. You can bend your knees as much as you need to. And releasing here, hands to mat, stepping back into our last downward facing dog of the class. These standing upward poses are done. I'm going to come into hero's pose. So you're going to lift the feet and drop the knees and sink your hips down to your heels. If this is too much, just sit cross-legged, bringing your right hand to your heart and your left hand to your belly. We're just going to breathe here for a moment, returning to ourselves, taking this moment to center. Breathing, releasing, recharging. Now we're going to come to a seated position. So put your legs out in front of you. Make sure you move to the front of your mat, moving your meat away from your seat. We're going to forward fold gently. So bringing one knee slightly up with your heel on the floor, and then the other. You're just going to drape your torso over your thighs into a fold. Now you can stay here if you choose, or you can try to inch your heels out in front of you until your legs are straight and fold, whatever your body is calling for today. And breathe. And continuing on with some twists, you're going to take your right foot, bring it over your left leg. Place your right hand on the mat behind you, lifting your spine, left arm up, twist, drop that elbow to the outside of the knee, and turn to face the back of your mat. This is twisting out all the junk we've had over the holidays, wringing out your internal organs. And moving back to the other side, so we're going to replace that right leg. Bring that left foot over and around, left hand behind you, lifting the spine, right arm up, twist, and drop that elbow to the outside of the knee, looking at the back of the mat. Breathing here. Now releasing the twist, we're going to make sure we have enough room behind us. So maybe scoot up a little bit, grab that left knee and roll down onto your back. Place the left foot on the mat, knee bent. Bring that right ankle on top of the left thigh and open up that hip. Take that right hand and open your right hip a little bit gently a few times just to loosen it up. Now we're going to lift that left foot off the mat, take our hands, thread that right arm in between the legs to meet the left behind the thigh, and as you pull the left thigh towards you, use the right elbow to inch out that right hip. Beautiful. Now we're going to release the hands, slide that right leg way on top of the left, keeping the knees bent. Pulling the knees towards you and then dropping them over to the left side as we extend the right arm and look at that right hand. It's a beautiful ending twist. Now you're going to bring those knees towards your chest again and either grab the calves, the ankles, or the outsides of the feet and pull those legs towards you for another hip stretch. This is too much, you can let it go. Breathe into that hip stretch. Kind of feel like a twisted pretzel. Then we're going to release down the right foot on the mat, left ankle over top the right thigh, and then just press out that left hip a few times. Just the same as we did on the other side. Now lift that right foot off the mat, thread the left arm through the legs to meet the right behind the thigh and pull that thigh in as you press that left knee out with your elbow. Feeling the hip stretch in multiple places. And as you release the hands, just move that left knee on top of the right. Pull the knees to your chest and then drop them over to the right side as you extend the left arm and gaze toward that left hand. Breathing in here for your final twist. And then once again, bring those knees toward your chest, keeping them crossed, grabbing wherever feels comfortable for you, and pulling those feet towards the mat for a final hip stretch. Breathing into this final stretch. Now we're going to untangle our legs, grabbing the same foot as the hand, pulling the knees toward the mat into happy baby. Maybe rocking from side to side to release the low back. And just breathing here, letting it all go. And releasing the feet, hugging those knees into your chest. Again, maybe rocking from side to side to release that low back before our final resting pose of Shavasana. Releasing one leg and then the other to the mat, wriggling the hips side to side to just release those legs. Scooping shoulders away from ears, shimmying to release the arms. Maybe moving the head from side to side and just let it go to come to your final pose, Shavasana. You may stay here as long as you like. I hope you've enjoyed this class, and I hope to see you again next time.